Over the years, I've come to love charcoal powder. But what's funny is that you don't actually need to buy the standard charcoal powder from Amazon. You can actually create charcoal powder from your home. And in fact, for like the past 3 years that I have been drawing with charcoal powder, I have never bought charcoal powder. I always make some by myself at home. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can create charcoal powder from home. You don't really need much when it comes to creating charcoal powder. All you need is your charcoal pencil, a blade, and a small container where you can actually put the charcoal powder into. I'll be using this charcoal stick to create charcoal powder, but more on that later on. Before you start anything, the first thing you want to do is sharpen the charcoal pencil. You will want to make sure that the charcoal is long. That is, there is enough charcoal showing up above the wood. This is what I'm talking about. Sweet, lovely charcoal ready to be turned into powder. This is not what I'm talking about. This wood that is showing up near the charcoal will cause problems later. As we move on, I'll show you why you don't want the wood to be close to the charcoal. Now that you have enough of the charcoal showing through, you'll now want to grab your blade or your knife if that's what you're into. But you'll take it and place the charcoal pencil at an angle over the small container like I'm doing now. From here, you'll just use the blade to shave the charcoal into the container. But listen, you want to make sure that you are actually shaving the charcoal rather than sharpening. This is what I mean. This is shaving. This is not shaving. This is sharpening. The downside to sharpening is that you'll end up with large chunks of charcoal rather than fine powder. Now you can see the main reason why I said you don't want the wood to be close to the charcoal is that you may end up shaving some of the brown wood into the charcoal powder. But when there is enough distance between the charcoal and the wood, you prevent pieces of the wood from entering the charcoal powder container. To prevent this entirely, this is the reason why I stick to creating charcoal powder with charcoal sticks or charcoal blocks, anyhow you call it. Since there's no wood around the body, you don't run into the danger of accidentally sharpening wood into your charcoal powder. To make charcoal powder from a charcoal stick or charcoal block, I just use the same process. I place the charcoal stick over the container and then I use my blade to shave the powder into the container. Now, depending on how lazy or diligent you are, you may prefer to make your charcoal powder in one large batch and then store for later use. Or you may prefer to make it in small batches so that every single time you want to draw, you make a little batch. For me, I don't like the idea of creating one large batch. Rather, I will create a small batch for every time I want to use a charcoal powder. That's just how I like it. Or maybe it's just the laziness in me that it's speaking. Anyways, this is the simplest and most efficient method that I have found to making charcoal powder at home. But there are other methods to creating charcoal powder at home. Like for example, some will scratch their charcoal pencil on sandpaper and use that to create the powder. Others will break the charcoal itself and then use a hammer to grind the charcoal into fine powder. For me, I just love this shaving technique. I might even argue that this method produces the finest of powder. But you know, it's one thing to actually make charcoal powder. It's another thing to apply that charcoal powder on a drawing to shade and blend. What I want you to do now is to click the video on the screen now, and you'll be able to learn how you can actually use charcoal powder to shade your drawings. Watch that. Yes, that. And I'll see you in the next one.